Good morning, everyone. Hope you are having a good day. Good morning, guys. So, I think I always say the cricketing parlance that if you don't start your day well, or rather if Jaiswal and KL Rahul wouldn't have started off well, the day would have been spoiled for this country, and we would have lost the match. So I think it's very important to start the day well, and I have this wonderful gentleman who wants to start it well, I think. I don't know who is Jaiswal or KL Rahul, but we'll take it as it comes through. So what we are discussing is about bite-sized experience, be it positive, be it negative, what we have experienced in our life, what we have done with the brand. Because today in the industry, is a lot of disruptions, I think. A lot of people, there's a problem with staffing, I think. That's one of the biggest one. There's problem with rent to revenue. There is problem of salary to revenue. And there is problem of EBITDA at all times. But there has been a lot of learnings through the day, through the years, in the last 3-4 years, post-COVID, I think. So I think let's talk about a little bit more on that, and let's hear from the leaders what they've been doing, to not only overcome the challenges, but also talk about a little bit more on their experience, what they've been doing, what they want to do ahead in life, etc. So let me start with Supriyo. Tell us a little bit about Nomad Foodie.
Well, Nomad Foodie, as you would know, is an accidental inclusion in the F&B space. I did my hospitality in the US and came down to India to set up Subway, back in the days. And then went back, there was a different change of line, but ended up writing about food. And somehow food never leaves you. Once you're into food and you're passionate about it, it doesn't leave you. It finds a way to become a part of your life. Sure. So operations were always a part of me. And somehow I ended up finding myself designing restaurants, consulting for different projects, managing the operations for some units. And now with my wife, we run Nomad Foodie, which is an experiential company where we do multiple things, right? From consultancies to operation management to marketing to curated experiences all over the country. So yeah, that's a little bit about Nomad Foodie. Quite an interesting journey, lots of highs and lows. Definitely looking forward to share some of my experiences in the platform today.
Brilliant. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Do you want to tell us something on today's diverse environment on doing business and maybe a crisp learning based on that, so what you have experienced?
So, food is a basic necessity of life. Everyone needs to eat. And there is an inbuilt desire for us to always look for something that entertains us, leaves a memory and leaves us an experience. And I see with the growing times, this experience graph has also evolved. Yeah. What people were consuming 20 years back is not what they are willing to spend big dollars now. So it has evolved. It has changed its shape, and we are moving with the times. Lots of things, digital integration has come in, experiences have become much more complex and much more elite in nature. Aspirational value in humans have gone up. Earlier, we were dal roti khane wale log the. Now we want that sushi on our table. So
absolutely.
So things have changed, things have evolved, and according to that, our requirements have evolved, and I'm glad that our industry is providing for it. 5 years back, we didn't have a single Vietnamese restaurant in India. Now we do. Estonian food is doing an experience next week. And Estonia, if I ask the hall how many of you have had experience with Estonian food, even I wouldn't have 2 or 3 dishes to talk about. So things are changing, people are evolving, and people are experimenting more and more. And that is a great news for our industry.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to you with some aha moments also. We'll also talk about experiences which didn't do well for us, as a brand, as a consumer, etc. I'll come back to you. Mr. Goenka, talk about your experiences, talk about what you do. What is Goldie Group all about?
So Goldie was started by my father and uncle in the year 1980, and very interesting, they are childhood friends for 57 years and 44 years of business together. it is how in your industry, the oil and turmeric gel, that's how my father and uncle have gelled. Over the years with spices, we ventured into one noodles, ketchups, vermicelli, pasta, non-food products like agarbatti and now detergent powder. So we were a very UP-centric brand. And as Supriyo said, now apart from dal chawal, people want sushi.
Yeah.
So apart from dal chawal ka sabji masala, people want one noodles. So that's how we created different products. Over the years, we have been able to scale up to 1,700 distributors in the country,
Brilliant.
exporting to 17 countries outside of India. And how the focus came to food service was during COVID, where every husband or father became a chef in the house. And I always believe, because I'm a playback singer to all of you,
Oh, let's hear you then.
because I'm a playback singer in terms of what I make. Because you run the restaurants or you design restaurants, and my ingredients are which play a role. And I always experience this in my house. If the dish is well made, it's the art of my mother or wife. If it did not do well, blame on the ingredients they used, which we make. So it's a great journey, and I think it is the fantastic time to be in this space in India. And the data shared just before, the growth India is seeing from unorganized to organized is fantastic. And I feel it is a responsibility of brand owners like us to help food service, how to cut costs but not compromise on quality, how to develop those flavors which never existed. And Supriyo would agree, and Jishnu would agree, that peri peri was never heard of 15 years back. Szechuan has been there for years, but now it has evolved. And so many flavors which India is seeing. Bhoot jalokia, only few people knew. But now with Korean noodles, the palate and the spiciness which little children at age of 8 are having, and I was discussing, is brilliant. But we have to see that amalgamation of the right product. Why did our ancestors put biryani with raita? Because it had a hot and a cooling effect. Why was aloo paratha always had with dahi and achar? Why was kadhi with samosa? Because it was a complete meal. And I think as responsible brand owner, food service people, we need to ensure that combination of carbs, proteins, vitamin, nutrients and fiber has to be served on the palate, and not only for the taste where we don't compromise on health. Because end of the day, my father always says, our customer is completely satisfied not during dinner, but in the morning before shower.
Well said, sir. Well said. Sir, I want to ask you one thing directly. In the space where you are, there is too much of competition. Have you done any kind of innovation to overcome the competition, or have you been doing something extra or different from what your competitors have been doing?
So very good question, Tarak. I believe it's a 1.4 billion people country, and the competition is not between the brands. It's a competition between unorganized and organized,
Sure.
and we can grow. So two innovations we've done, or initiatives we've taken. One is external and internal. Internal, we have set up a state-of-the-art plant
Sure.
with a cryogenic grinding, largest capacity plant in India in the UP Investor Summit, which was inaugurated by Pradhan Mantri. And secondly, we have just launched a fresh lock technology,
Okay.
where I said it yesterday on the keynote also, the biggest pain of food service was after the spices pack is opened, you either put it in a pet jar, or you have to put a rubber band and put it somewhere in the refrigerator.
Correct.
We have put a fresh lock where it is a resealable pouch with 6 layers, and that's imported from Norway. So every time you open the spice pack, you can just reseal it. So it ensures the continuity of the freshness. You don't attract moisture, and there is no pilferage or you spill over. So that is one thing we've done. Second, in noodle industry, we have launched first time in India noodles in rice bran oil. So the biggest challenge people have is with palm oil.
Sure.
Definitely our production cost went high, but I think as a responsible brand owner, we took that initiative to launch in rice bran oil.
Brilliant. Thank you, sir. I'll come back to you, sir, again. I'm coming back to Chef Harsh Kedia now. I'll come back to you just soon.
Yes.
You run this amazing brand where I don't have to think if I'm a diabetic to run into you. You give us so much of solace to everybody. Tell us about you, please.
My story is my story is fairly simple. Like a lot of people in our industry do sort of hear about what happened in the childhood situation.
Yeah.
So I'll shorten it up with one thing. Doctor said no mithai, nutritionist said nothing sweet. By mithai I mean interchangeable with desserts and mad over donuts. Because it was my favorite dessert back in the day. So they said don't eat this and don't eat that. And I realized that taking candy, chocolates, sweets from a child is absolutely disastrous to their growth. And it deters the mental well-being. As much as they say that you mature earlier than your age, but that maturity is not needed. You got to be playful, you got to be childful. So my entire life's work so far, although I am 28, for the last 10 years I'm working with hospitality in the industry since I was in college, has been completely dedicated to create solutions to the unavailability of these kind of products. For example, you want a brownie, I have you covered. You want to have a kesar peda, I have you covered. You want to have a rasmalai, I have you covered. You want to have a chocolate mousse, I have you covered. You have a donut, we have you covered. But the deal is that when this child that I'm talking about, who was me, there was also a grandmother at home who was bedridden and diabetic who could not eat the sweets. Unfortunately, I was not equipped back in the day to be able to make stuff for her. So I'll run through this part where today, when grandmothers and grandfathers eat the mithai that we do, we clocked about 2 lakh customers this year, by the way, recorded between the two brands. I feel very proud and I feel that my late grandparents are able to eat something that I'm making through these people. Now coming to the brand side of it, we've segmented the brands very clearly as a diabetic chef, which is a diabetic friendly, nutrition rich packaged food brand where we do chocolates, chocolate spreads. These are multi-purpose, either eat it directly or you add it to your food in terms of like a spread or you put it in a milkshake or smoothie, whatever. The second one is an ease and convenience walk-in retail. It's called Conscious Mithai Wala. I'm going to plug it shamelessly. If you're in Juhu, it's next to Sri Gangor Sweets. They are my business partners. So essentially, at Conscious Mithai Wala, you walk in, there's 40 types of mithai, 9 to 10 types of farsan.
Brilliant.
So you can come, try, enjoy, while not missing the sweet element. So usually people say, without sugar, it does not taste good. And all our customers have contested that the product is actually like it.
Okay.
So that's my entire work like. And I dedicate most of my time in consumer interaction through social media or personally, which helps me get better feedback.
Brilliant, thank you. So as a pioneer in this sugar-free dessert-specific this and traditional mithai, what is the unique consumer behavior you're seeing recently is one definitely talking point. And second, is there any innovation required in the sugar-free?
So I'll take it one by one. First one, the consumer is very aware today. Like the consumers walk in, I'm talking about like 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10 customers for 2024 is crazy how it has expanded in terms of numbers. People ask me what sweetener we use.
Okay.
And they know the nitty-gritties. आपने स्टीविया तो नहीं डाला, आप FOS use कर रहे हो, inulin है, isomalt है. Even as a diabetic person, if I was not running the brand, I probably didn't know these words. I'd just be like, that brand, yellow color brand, है क्या? नहीं है, तो ठीक है. They know the details of these things. And about innovation, the deal with sweeteners is, I'm sure everyone in this room has someone diabetic in their home or in their neighborhood. So they would have, it's a statistics, right? Every third, fourth person today is diabetic.
Correct.
So people often complain that stevia has an aftertaste. FOS does not caramelize. Iska ye nahi hota. You're in the industry, I'm sure you're aware that every sweetener is difficult.
Yes.
So it takes us about roughly 6 months per product, series, range. Like a chocolate bar, a chocolate spread, a mithai, a Bengali mithai, a dry fruit mithai. All have different formulation. Innovation with that. Secondly, with our packaging, if my packaging looks boring, like any other mithai wala, by that I don't mean mithai walas just do boring packaging. What I mean is the healthier package, healthy mithai in a boring packaging just means a sick man's food. So it has to look great. So my packaging looks like how I would look as a box,
As a
like
normal
very
mithai.
eccentric. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very colorful, eccentric, and very attractive. So that's the innovation part of it, food and service.
I also want to ask you one thing is specifically is that like a lot of people don't want in this country to be called a diabetic. Is there a taboo also to enter your store?
So I'll sound like a pure sales and branding guy now.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. So I built myself as I was known, and I am known as the diabetic chef.
Okay.
Now people know Harsh Kedia as a diabetic chef. I'm slowly taking the word diabetic away from my brand.
Sure.
It's going to be called something else, which releases March, April. So you still come back to me without the stigma of being a diabetic person. And you can be a diabetic person and come to me. The idea of conscious mithai wala was, this reason was two separate brands, that people were disassociating love for food with the word diabetic.
Yes.
So I said, let's call it conscious. Because if I ask anyone in this room, at least थोड़ी शर्म आएगी बोलने में कि मैं conscious नहीं हूँ. Everyone is conscious.
Exactly.
So that word was used as a double positive connotation. I was like, now everyone's conscious, and I'm a conscious mithai wala. So it wasn't called the diabetic sweet shop. That's the entire rebranding.
So conscious mithai wala it is. Well done, Harsh. Sorry, Chef Harsh Kedia. Okay, so good. So let me come back to Jishnu now. Jishnu Datta has been years, has spent a lot of years, a lot of time in this industry. He has done a lot of brands together. Tell us about what you are doing currently.
So, hi, morning everyone. So presently I am with Bellona Hospitality. We are running around 39 restaurants in different cities. We are part of the Phoenix Mill Group. I started off with Taj, did Indigo with Rahul Akerkar ages back, and then moved into Impresario for 10 years. Joined him when it was 8 restaurants and 40 crores. Moved out in 2020 when we were at Impresario was at 400 crores. I took a jump into Southeast Asia market where there was a brand called Outback Steakhouse which was operating in 5 of the Southeast Asia countries. Unfortunately, in the COVID period, my experience was more of shutting down restaurants rather than opening restaurants.
That was tough.
So it was a tough one, and for an owner, it was tougher because a single owner who had 13 restaurants running in Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Jakarta, and Singapore, and everything getting wiped out is not a joke. And post that, I have joined Bellona now. We are young. We are post-COVID brand, I would say, a post-COVID company. Total 9 brands, 5 being our primary brands, which we are focusing on and we want to grow with. Ishara being the Indian space that we are working on. In Pan Asian, we have 2 formats. One is 8, which is a resto bar, and Cha, which is Cantonese style food. We have a cafe format called Allora, which is Italian. So these are the brands, and Dubara is the resto bar again, but it's the drinking hole. That is how we would like to go ahead with. So these are the 5 brands we are right now working on.
But let me compliment you, Jishnu, you and your team, your owners, co-founders, founders, yourself, that Ishara has been a revelation, let me tell you. You are running that place with differently abled people. It's so amazing. And I really like to thank you from bottom of my heart, I think from everybody, that this is a brilliant job you guys are doing. So well done with it.
So the whole thing goes to Prashant Isser, who is the managing director of Bellona. It was his brainchild that Ishara happened. He had created Michi and Mine before, and then he created Ishara. So I will not be able to do justice if I have to explain how Ishara happened and what he has done. So I will not get into that space at all. But yes, we are privileged to work with them. Okay, I'll tell you what. Sometimes I find them more attentive, more guest satisfaction achieved through them is much, much better than normally able staff who are just functioning in the restaurant. So there is a challenge that in same space you are managing 2 different kind of people who need their own ecosystem to function with. You know, there are people who are there in the kitchen who are able to speak and hear properly, But there are people in the service which is 85%, apart from maybe my manager, assistant manager, and the bartender. Everybody who is there at Ishara is not able to hear or speak. So it is a challenge, but we are blessed to be working with them.
Brilliantly done, I think. Wherever I have been, I think I'm sure a lot of people have gone. If you guys have not gone, please do visit Ishara. It's one amazing place to be in, just to experience the people who are working with them. I think well
But
done.
you know,
with it.
that is not what we try to sell the place as. We sell the place as regular restaurateur where we are proud to serve the food and the beverages. And it is just that they are there as the service staff.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that is not our selling point. In the sense, sometimes I think media and everybody gets into the whole angle of that is the selling point, but that is not the selling point.
Correct.
We are blessed to have them, but our focus is food and beverages.
But brilliant experience. Well done with that. Thank you for that. Just I want to continue with you. How do you balance culinary creativity with the need for operational efficiency? Because it's very difficult to run restaurants, I know, especially post-COVID, where you, between a Monday to, I think, even to a Thursday, people keep on waiting for people to come in. And there is operational, there is your cost of goods sold problem, your efficiency in staffing. There are multiple layers. How do you deal with this? I'm sure it's very difficult.
So if you're talking about staffing, it has always been a challenge, pre-COVID, post-COVID, doesn't matter. At Impresario, we had 2,500 people. Now we are at 950 right now in Bellona. So in a fine dine, it is a little more difficult than a QSR. QSR, the processes are a little more set. They are trained very, very well, and there is no scope of deviation in the sense that is what they have to continuously go on delivering day in, day out. But in a fine dine, when the interaction becomes different for different people, somebody who is an expat coming into the restaurant, the conversation is different. Somebody who is a regular who has been coming repeatedly, it's different. So the conversation with the service staff is different, so we have to continue, and it is a continuous process. You have to just go on training, then there has to be buddies who are trained well so that they're training the juniors who are coming in. So, yeah. So, in this fine dine division, I think custodian of service excellence has to be at multi-level.
Absolutely.
It cannot just stay with the manager or a training manager who is making the rounds here and there. It has to, somehow you have to make sure that it is reaching down to multiple people who are able to train at site. So that is how we are trying to handle the service side excellence. In food, your one question was how do you get standardization?
Yeah. And so the operational efficiency gets
Again,
controlled.
it is the same thing. We really do not let our kitchen guys leave us. Okay, that is the trick. So somebody who has been trained in a gravy, we just take care of them, and they grow with the skills so that next one is coming up, there's a trained guy who is there. And then we do not function in Bellona with a corporate chef culture. There is no corporate chef. We have brand chefs, and under brand chef, we have, I would say, brand chef for that region. So if somebody is heading Pune, there is a brand chef who is under, or a sub-brand chef, you know. So we do not have a single person heading Bellona saying that I'm the corporate chef, things slow down. So we function with brand chefs and then below people who are masters in their cuisine and their section, and they go and train the people. So that's how we try to achieve standardization.
Brilliant, well done. Gentlemen, I want to push one more question to this gentleman because he runs a restaurant. This is about licenses actually. I've heard in this country it's easy to get a gun license than to get a restaurant licenses. What do you think about it?
So it's actually easy.
It's easy?
It is easy, you just pay. So, yeah.
He has answered it all in one line actually.
And it is not just restaurants. I think all these multinational companies, when they come into India, they have this whole process of not paying anything and all those things. But they hire a company which does all those work. So they give a difference.
So they carry the guns and give you the licenses.
No, in the sense, see, I think the only challenge which I see in the restaurant line is the liquor license. And it is so different. Every state is like a country. So, for example, in Bombay or in Maharashtra, if my license cost is under 10 lakhs annual renewal, let's just talk the official numbers. But same thing in Hyderabad becomes 40 lakhs or so official. And in Bangalore, because it is a license given to an individual, it is upwards of official is 10 and a rental of 3 lakhs, 3.5 lakh per month. So the problem is, how do you have a same format and then say, let me go to different states? And because the law of that state is different, especially when you are playing the liquor game. So it is very easy to play the food game only, but as soon as the liquor angle comes in, you have to really think through when you are bringing a model into which city. Bangalore, if you see, restaurants are all 10,000 plus square feet spaces. Okay, they don't do anything small. Bombay, it will be 2.5, 3,000 spaces, unless you are focusing on a nightclub kind of a format where you have to make your money from Friday night to Saturday night, but they will shut in 3.5, 4 years. Come what may, new format will come up. So that is how, in the license, I think, if India becomes just like GST becomes a single license, liquor license process, I think F&B people will be a little more happier.
I hope so. Thank you. We spoke about amazing things. Chef Harsh said he's 28 years old. And Jishnu said that very difficult to get licenses or easy to get licenses, so on and so forth. I also want to touch base upon few of the bite-sized experience we are talking about, which didn't work for you guys, I think. Could be an aha moment which said that, let's do it, and then it didn't work. For me, it has been multiple times. I can speak about it forever. I can keep on speaking about it. But I want to know from you, Supriyo, what is the one thing which you think that could have been done better, or you thought that it was very good to execute, but just didn't work? And this is for everybody. I think I just want to know that one experience which I think didn't work for you guys.
Well, I started a QSR, a pizza place out here. And again, a small format, COVID story, did well for a while. But then the scale of operations was very small, but it was taking as much time as it would for a larger operation. So I couldn't justify the effort. And finally, I had to shut it down because the amount of effort I was putting into running that business, I was putting the same amount of effort to run my other operations. So it was either this or that, and obviously that took a fall. So that was a learning for me, learning that I shouldn't start anything thinking of a small and not worry about the scale up. So the learning was think about the scale up and then start small with a growth plan steeped in. That was from me.
Huge learning. Thank you very much. And you spoke about the negative moment, which itself shows that you're a positive person. Similarly for you, sir.
So, we signed as brand ambassador Salman Khan, and suddenly
The
we
sales
got
grew.
great visibility across India and abroad. I think one thing which we did, we tried to expand our geography too fast, and we thought, it's like once you hit a century, you think you can hit a six every ball. So it doesn't work like that. You need to again
Well
defend.
said.
So that's what we realized, not to expand too much too fast. It's not about the horizontal growth, it's about giving service to the people who already exist with you. And as Jishnu was talking, my grandfather always says, khana banana ajab baat hai, khana khilana gazab baat hai. So it's about the service we give to our people, and we learned the hard way. It's a journey. It's not a 100-meter race, it's actually a marathon where you have to balance your pace and stamina both.
Okay. Jishnu, you want to talk about some experiences which could have been gone better, some business course of action could have been done better?
I would just like to challenges everybody has faced. I just want to talk a little bit about opportunity which I think exists, and any fellow restaurateur who is building a brand or in future thinking of building a brand, I think if these challenges of rent, challenges of manpower will always stay. It will change a little bit in form, but these challenges will stay. So anybody who is venturing into the restaurant business, couple of things they need to think through is, how can I utilize the space? Just not, when they think restaurant, it cannot just be a thought process of food and beverage. How can they use a hybrid model to make utilization of either the space as such or the time slots that are available, starting from, so be it breakfast, be it lunch, be it whatever be the case. If you are able to think through that and able to put a model, you will have a winner. Second would be, if you are able to let people dine with you all, okay, and then along with that, if people are able to take things along and you are able to build two pillars. One is the dine-in and one is the retail angle. And if you are able to bring that in one space, again, you will have a winner. These are the two things which I would think you need to look at when somebody is doing a restaurant. And the third, I think, industry as such has to evolve, and the way the hotels and the airline business, if you see the capacity, when they are almost full, their rates go up. So their pricing is dynamic. In restaurant, the pricing is not dynamic. We are always discounting. We have a particular price, okay, and that is the burst price. We are going below with a discount. We are not going above. So I think restaurants now, people should look at is, if you are having a particular price point at 7 in the evening, it should change, and the system and the POS system makers are able to handle that today, where you are able to change the menu price post 11 p.m. So your pricing has to, I think, has to be dynamic now. Go completely digital on your menus so that you do not have a physical book that you have to give to a guy to say that choose your dish. So my point is, these are few points. If the space is sorted out where you are able to manage the space well, if you are able to play the time slots well, if you put in a retail angle along with your food offering, dine-in, and your price dynamics is dynamic, then I think you will have a winner.
Well done. Okay. Chef Harsh. I know you are 28 years.
We don't have to discuss it. But, so there are two parts to this, okay? And one is, I think, demerit that all of us, pretty much a lot of people in this room would share, is to hire millennials. They are so difficult to work with. The problem with this generation that is coming is that either they're not skilled to be hired because a lot of them have studied during the lockdown and their internships have been online. So when they're physically trying to work, there's lack of ethic and there's lack of skill. Now, how does that cause a problem is that they feel they're too qualified and they need to be paid that kind of money. I remember with a certain kind of experience, this little girl had come to the store and I'm like, okay, great, you're coming to the hospitality industry. And we're the most underpaid industry in every possible sector that I can think of, especially in kitchen. We're barely paid. Like, I know like a lot of people who work for 8 years and then they get paid NX what a consultant starts just after college, right? This person's come in, she's talking, very sweet, la la la, I can do this for you, I can do that for you, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, great. Your CV is very impressive in terms of certificates. What is your experience? She's like, I can do this. I said, but what have you done? What do I quantify your work against? I said, acha, theek hai, chalo. You sound like you're well-spoken. She's like, I want to be a shadow of you. I want to do things you've done. I said, you can't do things I've done because you're from that time where हमारे माँ बाप ने 2 थप्पड़ मारा था अगर हमने कभी मॉल में बदतमीजी की थी. You guys are the generation who've complained to the cops if your parents have raised your hands or something on those lines. Her ask and CTC was 6 lakh rupees, a fresher. I said, I don't remember the last time I went for an interview in my last couple of years where I was paid more than 35,000 a month. And यहाँ पर 50,000 से उनका expectation setting start होता है. And when we've hired people also who've come into work, their excuses to not come to work are headaches, fever. I remember that I was so scared of my last boss that if I had a fever, I would wake up at 6 instead of 7 to take medication to feel better and to reach work on time. So she would just pity me and let me go back home. So that is one. Now, very business-centric is the perception. The customer perception has sort of grown over some time, but people are still very stringent in terms of spending. अरे healthy करना है, sugar free करना है, ये करना है, वो करना है, but वो extra 100 रुपए खर्च करने में, they're just like, oh my God, And the comparison is with a certain brand that sells mithai in my lane. They're just like, वहाँ तो 300 में मिलता है, तुम्हारे यहाँ 500 का क्यों है? And then I have to sit and explain the dynamic to it. That is a little part of the problem. Second is taste. Until I make all of you taste the mithai, you might not want to buy it. So the store to the mouth of the consumer is a journey that I have to track and understand that maybe through gifting. Suppose we do a gifting together, then they will find out. So it's a pure word of mouth business, and I don't think enough money spent on marketing can get the communication that will help me sell versus let people know. So one is one millennial generation and second is getting people to buy.
Us old people. You are 28, but.
Boomers.
Okay. Yeah, good. So but I think the clock shows 4 minutes. I still have, I really want to know this one. There's a little bit fun to it. I just want to know from each one of you in one line. I know you guys have been busy, you run restaurant, you run businesses, you travel the world, you travel in, well, I know Supriya is in the next couple of hours, you will leave the flight. What do you do just to, pass time where you are relaxing or just to relax, what do you do? Because I'll tell you, I sleep a lot when I get a time, be it on the flight, snoring out next door neighbor. What do you guys do? One line, and then we can go to a couple of questions.
Well, I'm into photography. I love to click, and in my free time, I try to post edit and be creative.
Okay.
Keep the brain functioning.
Yeah.
Sleep is a distant dream. Someday I will sleep.
Okay.
So I do two things. I like to read a lot.
Oh, yeah?
And secondly, it's funny, but if I'm free, I go to the gym and start running.
Okay.
And thirdly, I have a 7-year-old young boy. I just talk nonsense with him the whole day. It's so much fun. 3 more years, I want to
Super.
live bachpan with
Super.
him.
Vishnu.
Actually, just relax. Nothing major. Maybe a little bit of cooking or doing something with my daughter. Just that. Just do anything which relaxes. And sometimes I don't want to watch a new movie which has little more stress. I just watch old movies and just finish one old movie, part of it that I like in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and that's how I spend my time.
Brilliant.
I travel and I eat. So
You
the
travel
minute
and eat?
I travel and then I eat. So I pretty
okay.
much
I
like
thought you travel and
eat to
keep on
travel.
eating.
So whenever I have a 2-day gap, I just take a flight and I leave. I'm like, I need a break. I'll probably hit the beach anywhere.
Brilliant.
Like I just love it, yeah.
Super. Thank you, gentlemen. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the people who run the industry. They strive every day. They work very hard. And somebody watches movie also in that. Well done with that. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for that. We can have a couple of questions. I have 208 minutes left, it shows. And Anish comes to me. No, not yet. We can have a couple of questions. Anybody, please.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Datta, you said you have a separate chef, I think, brand-wise, and you said जो gravy वाले chef है, you don't want to lose them. तो is there any mechanism you use कि जो gravy वाला बंदा है, तो उसका time या फिर उसका जो भी preparation time है?
Can you repeat the question?
अच्छा, आपने बताया कि आपका जो brand-wise आपके chefs अलग-अलग हैं. और जैसे कि बताया ग्रेवी वाले जो बंदे हैं यू डोंट वांट टू लूज देम लाइक आपके पास लंबे समय तक रहे तो इज देयर एनी मैकेनिज्म कि आप उसका जो कुकिंग टाइम है या फिर जहाँ पे उसका टाइम बचा के आप डेवलपमेंट में डाल सके डू यू हैव एनी मैकेनिज्म इन दैट
No, see, one, we do not have, the conventional method of just doing 3 gravies and then working on. So whatever gravies that we do are multiple. So I think in our Ishara kitchen, there are more than 15 gravies which are made from the scratch. Okay. So there are some which are we also use blast freezers so that we do not mess up with the product quality. If you use a regular freezer to freeze these kind of gravies, the quality may deteriorate. So we invest in that. That's a capex that we put into this thing. And so it is not something that we are doing every day, but that is how we try to standardize that product. But everything is made in that kitchen. We do not make it in a central kitchen and then ship it all over India. So we, though blast freeze it, it is again a 2-day, 3-day thing where we consume the product. But we are not saying that we make it in bulk and save time. we would like to make it as frequent as possible. Yeah, so we are not going the QSR model.
None, Anish. Anybody else? One. Yes, please.
Hi. Just a generic question, but in your experience, what are some of the mistakes that new restaurateurs make? And how can someone who's trying to get in the industry avoid them?
Anish, well done. Yeah, anybody, guys?
Good. So your question was, what are the first red flags that you should watch out for? Look, very simply, we as restaurateurs are in the business of human connections. We connect with people through our food. We connect with people through our service. So knowing the pulse of the people who are around you, around the physical location of where the restaurant is very, very fundamental. If you think that, okay, मैंने यहाँ पे कांदीवली में रेस्टोरेंट खोला है लेकिन पवाई में डिलीवरी करूँगा, मेरा डिलीवरी मॉडल है, वो नहीं चलेगा. You have to cater to what people need, right? That's the first thing. Second, make sure that you have a good growth plan, marketing plan in place. Don't just rely that my food is great, it will sell by itself. We are in a marketing generation. We are in an age where social media is very relevant, so you cannot ignore it. So there are certain things that you have to keep in mind which have to evolve with time. Anyone else?
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you for listening to us. And thank you, gentlemen. It was a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you very much.